Welcome to Soul Elevation, guiding your ascension to new heights. I'm your host, Kara Goodwin. This episode features the amazing Rachel Chamness. I'm so excited for you to hear this episode. You're going to hear about her channeling journey, and she also brings through her Blue Avian being guide. The info that comes through from him is remarkable, and what's super fun is that after channeling him hundreds of times, this time was a really unusual experience for Rachel. I love Rachel's energy, and she is really embodying a high frequency for the betterment of this planet. Rachel Chamness is a shamanic channel and mentor who empowers lightworkers to expand into higher realms by channeling multidimensional beings for healing, light codes, and ascension guidance. A former professional opera singer, she blends her trained voice with trance channeling to offer spirit-guided liquid Reiki shamanic connections and attunements. Through online courses, oracle cards, books, her podcast, 5D channels and chats, and higher realm activations on ethereal TV, Rachel helps lightworkers fully align with their spiritual path. Connect with her at Soundwaves Heal and soundwavesheal.com. Before we start, I'd love to invite you to explore the many offerings waiting for you at karagoodwin.com. You'll find my book, Your Authentic Awakening, a collection of free guided meditations and other resources to support you wherever you are on your spiritual path. If, like me, you feel called to the mysteries of sacred geometry, I have a recorded workshop that not only explains these high-frequency patterns, but also guides you in working with them directly. You can discover upcoming summits and workshops designed to connect you with like-hearted souls and expand your consciousness in real time. I really appreciate your support with the show. Please subscribe and pass this episode along to someone so we can keep lifting the collective vibration higher. And now enjoy this episode. Well, welcome, Rachel. I'm so excited to have you on today. Thanks so much for joining the Soul Elevation podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
I can't wait to talk about the Blue Avian guide that you have and your Fae Oracle deck, and you're doing so many interesting things. Let's start by talking about your journey to becoming a shamanic channel.
Okay, sure. I have sort of a weird beginning. Well, I used to be an opera singer. I was a professional opera singer, and I sang all over the world, or the world as we know it, I should say.
Yeah, which version, which layer, which reality?
Right. And I had a lot of what I felt were extreme blocks, and I was suffering a lot. I had a lot of problems with just being clear or just understanding spirituality in that way. And I just, used to have just real highs and lows, I would say. And so I started studying spirituality, and I studied it for a long time. I studied law of attraction, emotional freedom tapping, EFT. I studied with a coach and learned some things, but I still had a lot of, just I really just didn't understand Reiki or anything like that. Like I thought it was bad or it could be bad. I had some just misinformation, I would say. And then I had a baby, and I don't know if you've seen this a lot, but a lot of times when people have a child, it like changes them so much. And I felt like that really changed me. And I began to want to get away from the career, but I didn't know how to reconcile that with all the time I'd spent on it and all the pain I'd put into it. And I just felt like what a waste of my life to just throw it all away. And so it was really hard for me to separate from it. And I really wanted to. So then what happened actually is when my child was about 3 years old, we got in a really bad car accident. And it was so scary. And we were fine, but it was a miracle that we were fine. We were mostly just super PTSD. And during that time of just trying to get better and make sure that my child was better because he was so anxious, I tried a lot of things. And one thing I tried was Reiki. So I started going to this Reiki practitioner, and she began to heal us all, and it really helped. And she also ended up being my Reiki master because I eventually understood that Reiki, could never be bad. So I took Reiki from her. And then one day I was saying, "Oh, I really want to have a session with a medium, but I just can't find one locally." And she was like, "Oh, I know this wonderful medium. You should try her. She's on Skype." This is how long ago it was. So I was like, okay. So I did this session with this wonderful medium who's now retired. She was in Ireland, and she brought forth my friend who had passed. It was incredible. I was like, this is amazing. And I wanted to do another session like immediately. She was like, no, no, you have to wait 3 months. So I waited 3 months. I had another session, talked to my dad. She was a regular medium where she brings forth those who have passed. And then the third time, I wanted to talk to a spirit guide. Now, I had this past with spirit guides where I would ask mediums all the time, who's my spirit guide? I really want to know who it is. Can you tell me more of who it is? And I would get some little hints, but I didn't get much. And I was always just dying to know. And a lot of times mediums would say, I can't tell you who your spirit guide is, which I thought was crazy. Why not? So
And were they giving indications that they could tell other people,
yes,
or that just wasn't their
they would say to
thing?
me, "Oh, I give people their spirit guides all the time. Sure, let me tune in and tell you who your spirit guide is." And they'd be like, "Sorry, can't tell you."
Really?
Yeah.
Multiple people telling you this? That
Mhm.
is
So I
fascinating.
was like, "Mm." But the third time I saw Maureen, who was the psychic, she said, well, I said, "Bring forth a spirit guide or someone who can help me." And she ended up bringing forth my uncle who had passed. So it was absolutely him. It was just wild. And he said to me, "You're supposed to be doing what she's doing." And I was like, "What? But she's talking to you and you're dead. I mean, how am I even going to do that? Like, I might be a little psychic, but I just didn't think that was possible." And he said, "No, you're supposed to be doing this." So I went back to my Reiki master, her name's Birdie, and told her, and she said, "Okay, well, let's work on it." So I worked with her every other week. We tried everything to open me up and try to figure out what it was that I was good at. And then one day she had this class with trance channeling. So this woman came in and taught trance channeling. I took the class. It was a pretty good class. And I was able to start bringing forth my spirit guides. And then everything changed. Because once I did that, one day in the course, she said, "Hey, I know. Let's see if we can bring healing through from our spirit guides." I did that. And suddenly I was doing all the sound healing. Everything was coming through. And that's what I had wanted. But I thought, just like opera, it would take me 20 years to really learn sound healing and how it worked and how to do it. And it was going to be like a long time. But here I was just channeling it. It was coming straight through me. And I thought, this is so easy. I could just be the channel. I don't have to know everything or understand everything. It can just happen. So I started doing more Reiki attunements, becoming a master. I started doing light language, and I started mixing it all together. And then after a while, my clients wanted to learn. So I put together a series of classes. I tried doing one class, but they wanted more. So I made a whole series of trans channel classes. And so I teach people now how to come into their gifts or open their psychic clairs, which I believe is a birthright, and to learn how to connect with spirit guides, because my spirit guides told me what to do next. They were like, "This is what you do next. This is what you do next." They told me crazy things that I was like, that is never going to work, but okay. And I would try it and it would work. And that's how I've built everything. That's how I built all the other courses too, because they keep giving me downloads. Here's how you do the psychic healing. So I ended up putting all the psychic healing in my Reiki course, which I call Psychic Reiki Healing. So all of this information they just give to me because I give it out. So I don't, gatekeep anything. I believe that the more of us doing this work, the quicker we'll get to ascension. It's really important. So I basically teach everything.
That's beautiful. Well, let's talk about your guides, because you had some really interesting guides that came through, and you shared about how, so it was the woman in Ireland who was finally able to break through, right? No, she
No,
brought through
she
your
only brought through
uncle.
right, but my
So
uncle told me.
so where did your how did your actual guides come through?
Okay, in the trance channeling class, we worked with our closest spirit guides, our inner band spirit guides, and that's how I start too. I believe that if you want to be a channel, a medium, a healer, I believe channeling messages and channeling healing go together. So any of that, you should start with either the fae, the elementals, or your spirit guides. And I teach with spirit guides. I think it's really important because you could just take those basics and run with it. Or if you want more instruction, that you can get it. So I met
And
them all
so,
there.
right. And so tell us about them
Okay.
if you want to. Is that all
Sure.
right?
Yeah, I'd love to. So there's like this thought that we have 5 inner band guides. These are the guides that you grow up with. So they're with you since birth. So it couldn't have been my Uncle Richard. He was just someone who showed up. And I think he showed up because it couldn't have not been him. It's not that I knew him that well, but he was such an unusual guy. And he died of emphysema. And she was like telling me, like, I feel like my lungs are, I'm coughing. Did he die of something like emphysema? I mean, she was incredible, right?
Spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think he came through because it was so unlikely and I was more likely to listen. Because
Mm.
when you have to say, I could have never thought of that, she could have never known that, then you have to say, well, it must be a real message.
Yeah.
So I usually like to start with any guide. It doesn't matter, but I really like the joy guide. The joy guide is here to help you understand joy in this life and not take life too seriously. They're usually some sort of elemental or some sort of lighthearted being. Or if they're not, then, you need to find one that is. You need to find their lighter side. You need to upgrade your spirit guide. Make sure they're in the lightest mood possible. So mine is actually a polar bear named
Oh.
Fred. So you can't make this stuff up, right? So it sounds so ridiculous. And a lot of times guides will come to you because the first time they come to you, they show themselves like an animal or something that is the least threatening to you because it can be a little nerve-wracking. And so I always thought that he
I
was
mean,
going
a
to turn.
polar bear could be, they look so cuddly, but they could also be really fierce.
That's true. However, Fred showed up in a Hawaiian shirt. So maybe that's an important part. He did not seem
Oh,
threatening at all. He was
that
like
is
jovial.
hilarious. Oh
And
my
joy guides are
gosh.
also your messenger guides. So that's who you use with knowing or not knowing who they are. They give you messages. And when you, like, if you're doing oracle cards, even for yourself, that's who you're getting your messages from. So he showed up and I just kept waiting for him to turn into something else, like a fairy or something like that. And then one day I learned that polar bears are elementals. So we have a lot of elementals on this earth who are what we consider animals, but they're actually fey elementals. I have some of them in my deck.
Oh, tell us about your deck.
Okay,
Show
so
it
I have a deck.
again.
Elemental Magic and Manifestation, Fey Oracle deck. If you're in the USA, you can buy it on Amazon. Or if you're not, you can buy it off my site at Soundwaves Heal. And it's just a bunch of different fae. It has sort of anime artist.
Mm,
So they're cute.
beautiful.
And they
Yeah.
also have beings on them. So they're perfect for beginners who uh, want to learn. And there's a little bit of a guide in there. And I also teach a class. But they also have beings on them. So, like, here's a griffin. His name's Mateo. So if you're a beginner, you'd use this card for courage. You could look up in the book what it's about. If you're advanced, you could channel Mateo, the griffin.
Mm.
So I sort of made that. I kind of do everything for beginners and advanced because I have a mixture.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
also, even if you're advanced, you might not know all the beginner stuff in the whole world, right? So we're always learning.
Right.
So I kind of
Yeah.
teach it both ways.
Mhm.
So Fred came in and he's lots of fun. And then I have a protector guide who was a brown bear. So I was like, what is with the bears? Is it all in
Yeah.
my head? But then he turned into a Native American. And then he upgraded, you can upgrade your spirit guides into Archangel Gabriel. So sometimes your guides are just in different incarnations of themselves. And so he was always Archangel Gabriel, who's just showing me himself in different ways. So he's Archangel Gabriel. He does protection. Of course, protector guides can only protect you within your soul contract, so they can't protect you from everything. We're here to have trauma, unfortunately. And then I have a master teacher. She showed up as Ruth from the Bible. I'm not very religious. I grew up sort of, sort of Catholic.
Mhm.
So I had to kind of look her up. But she said, I'm Ruth from the Bible.
You know the one.
Yeah. And then she upgraded to Archangel Ariel, and Ariel said that she was Ruth, that that was her human life. So that was
Oh.
kind of interesting. So I channel her a lot because the master teacher is like your main guide. Other people call it the main guide, and everyone has all these guides. And we have more than that. But the main guide's sort of in charge of all your guides. They are sort of a bigger being, like the rest of your inner band guides, they just have you.
Mm.
You're their only charge. And even if you have someone that lots of people have, like Gaia or Jesus, or Buddha, someone like that, you have an incarnation of them that's just yours. Like lots of people have Merlin is another really popular guide. And so there are lots of Merlins. And in fact, I'm starting to believe that Merlin is an archetype of
Mm.
wizard, not one being, but
Mhm.
that's a whole nother story. So then I have more. So I have a chemist guide, and he's an elf, and
Oh.
he is the one that I
I would
started
think
healing
the
with.
chemist would be a wizard. What
For
do I
people, it
know?
might be. It might be. That's
Yeah.
the thing. You never know what they're gonna be,
Yeah.
and people are always surprised in the class, and yet at the end of the class of the first level, when you look at all your different guides, you can kind of see a picture here, right?
Mhm.
So my doctor teacher, who's also called the Doctor of Philosophy, this is a guide that helps you, like, you're with your next steps, or this is a guy that might throw that book off the shelf and you're like, oh, I should read this book. Or you just open to a random page and it's like, oh my gosh, this is the best message. This is perfect. Probably helps you pull a card, that sort of thing. And mine is a shaman. So that was sort of a hint there. She still is. She's the same. She says her name is Mother, but then later she told me her name was Ezra, so I call her Mother Ezra. So we have, at least 5 guides in all these positions. And they, like I said, they kind of give you like a picture. And then as you advance from that, you can meet more guides. In my course, I teach you in the second level how to meet every different kind of guide so that you can attune to them. Because I like to attune people to their guide or to whatever they're doing with sound healing, and that will help them connect better. And so for when you get past that, you attune to every kind of guide. Then after that, the next level we work on your partner guide. So Alpar BM is my partner guide. He is a blue avian, and it's interesting because he tells me that he works on the other side. So I work with people to connect them to their guides, all kinds of guides, but he works on the other hand with star seed or galactic beings, aliens, whatever you want to call them, who wish to help humanity through ascension. So he helps them connect to the humans. So we kind of work together in that
Oh,
way.
cool. So if there's anybody who is not sure what you're talking about when you say a blue avian, give us a little bit of insight into what that means.
Okay. Blue avians are ETs. They are really high dimension or high, however you want to call it, high density. So they are eighth dimensional. Sometimes they can be higher, and they are really ascended. So that just means they're really way more spiritually above us in terms of how they can interact with the world and what they know. So that's what makes them higher density. And of course, they're not 3D, so their body is different. Now, it sounds like I see really well, but it's not true. I sort of see, hear, know, understand, and my clairs kind of start to work together to give me a picture, but it's not always perfect. But to me, he looks like it's almost like, not quite, but like Big Bird. So big, like a storky or tall, feathery being, blue. But we call them the blue avians because that's what became popular on Gaia and when the blue avians were introduced to us. And they are actually different colors. Mostly we know the blue ones, but they do have other colored avians. And I have some videos about that on my YouTube channel at Soundwaves Heal. But basically they're kind of, they've got feathers. And there is a planet, or there was a planet that they were on, but it's no more. However, since we are the only people in time, they can still access their past planet. But most of them are on these big city ships. He tells me that his is more like a plane instead of a ship. He says the way that we think about the galaxy, the world, and the earth are not exactly right. And so the best way to describe it is either just to use the words that we believe or to try and show us. So he shows me like this pocket of airspace right outside of Earth where the ship is, but the ship is just a different plane, like plane. Like it's like a different place. It's not exactly a ship. It's like a whole city. So
Oh, wow. There have been, is it in like more of the ancient Hindu texts, I think, where they talk about cities in the sky, and that
really,
at one point they were able to see them, like humans could see them, but in antiquity. But there are, and I think it was Hindu texts, I could be wrong, like the Upanishads or something like that. But there are definitely ancient texts, whatever the lineage is, that talk about cities in the sky, and I've seen renderings of that type of thing. But I love it, like that pocket of space that you're talking about. Now, are these? Would it be like a humanoid avian? Like,
right.
is there like a hybrid? So they do have kind of physical.
I think
I
most
mean, I
of
know
the
you said
beings
they.
are humanoid that I've
Okay,
seen
okay.
in some way, as in star shaped,
Hmm.
head, arms, and legs.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to me because years ago I had a dream where I was I was around a table, but it was kind of like a very like wooden looking, almost like a treehouse type of environment, but like more sophisticated than that. And there was a small table, and everything was wood, the walls, the table, the floor, everything. And I was talking to, I don't remember if it was two or three, but like avian beings, as I now understand, like I would use that term now, but when I had this dream, I was like, these are people, but they look like birds. and they're taller than me. And
They're very tall.
they were very, but we were like looking down at something on the table, almost like planning something. But that dream has stuck with me because I find it powerful when we don't know what something is, we've never had exposure to it, and then something like that comes up where it was like, yeah, there are these big birds in there, but they looked like people, like they were people, but they were birds. They were standing upright, and we were around this table, and they were bigger than me.
I think you're a
So
Blue Avian starseed.
you think so?
Yes, it's super rare, but
Oh,
I'm not one. Like, we're just friends.
yeah.
I was never a Blue Avian, or at least these are your three guides. And what you're looking at is your plans, your soul contracts for your life. That's what I get. I have chills, which means
Ooh,
yes.
that gives me chills too. Okay, well,
How
thank you
fun.
for that. Yeah, it's fascinating because I know we were saying before we started recording that a lot of people, you do a lot of transmissions of the blue avian beings. So you're kind of known for that. But it's also sort of it's a very much a niche. I don't, in my world anyway, there aren't a lot of people who are connected with the blue avian beings. So it's really fascinating.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I don't know many people who channel them. So people do find me that way. But really, I teach people to channel all kinds of beings. I really like to make sure that whoever your spirit guide is, if it's just some crazy thing we've never met before,
Hmm.
then I just want you to be able to have the discernment to know light to dark and the ability to trust yourself, which is a huge part of learning channeling, and be able to bring them through because you've made way for them. So that's
Hmm.
why I kind of teach in a methodology that I believe really works for those things. Just when it comes to protection, it's like you need protection until you don't, So
Hmm.
while you're getting there, learning to do all kinds of protections to protect your light is, I think, it puts you at ease
Yeah.
and it helps you until you can get to a place where you say, you know what, I'm divinely protected. I don't need all this protection.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. So not only are you helping people to connect with their own guides, but you are a channel, which you did kind of infer earlier. But would you like to do some channeling?
Sure, sure.
Okay. Well, so for you, is there a process to get into it or?
It doesn't take me long. When you start to trans channel a lot, especially the same guide, they come
Mhm.
in really fast. So he's already like standing here.
Oh,
I told him
yay.
before I came, you're going to be coming up, so
Yeah, you're
get
on.
ready.
Yeah.
Did you want to ask him questions while I'm in trance, or do you want him to just talk?
I think let's just see what he wants to bring up. I think I'd enjoy that. Does
He
that work
likes
for
to
you?
talk, so don't worry.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. All right. Let me just get comfortable.
Yeah.
I am Alparbium, a Blue Avian, you might call me. We call ourselves the Kier. However, names, language, symbols, math, science, all of these absolutes you hold dear do not translate outside your 3D space. So, fear not if you do not get a name from your spirit guide or do not get it quite correctly, for we do not mind. And yes, we are in a city in the sky. You are correct that this is exactly what is in the ancient texts of your planet. And for people to see them is purely clairvoyance. And you all have the ability to bring forth this type of seeing and also clairaudience, clairsentience. Every type of clair is within you. To bring it out and to expand it just takes practice and work. Attunements also help. But basically, if you'd like to increase your clairs, it is very simple to just believe the intuition that you have and watch it grow from that belief. Your spirit guides will give you what they think you will accept. And once you accept more, they will give you more. And this is part of the great experiment of being human, to learn to believe what you are experiencing as truth, though you may have been greatly gaslighted for it, as all humans were, gaslighted for their quote imagination and other beliefs that they were told were not real. And you have come past that if you're already listening. If you're still listening, then you've already come past that. To be a human is to go through your soul contracts, these obstacles you've put in front of yourself, and to surpass them, and to learn from them, and to improve yourself from trauma or a tragedy is an incredibly brave and wonderful thing that we watch you do, and we are very impressed. Many of us star beings, we are here watching, and you may think us above you, as this medium has said, above you spiritually. However, you are the ones in these bodies. You are just like us in spirit, but you are in the body of a 3D human, really experiencing things on the ground, trauma, unknowing of all of your history and your soul, and really blindly walking through this 3D life. And we are really impressed with all of you. Many of us would not do it. And so you may be much braver than most of us. We want you to know that what you're doing on this earth is incredible. And you are never failing. For every failure is a path to understanding, is a path to being better, is a path to self-improvement, which we see you all working on. And so we applaud you. We're so happy to watch you. And this whole system, this whole star system, solar system, is a beautiful place where there are many beings who are observing Earth going through this ascension process. And we are just thrilled with those of you who have decided to take the ascension path. We would like to remind you that many people are not taking the ascension path on purpose. They have come here with the soul contract to take the 3D path. And so their life may be full of suffering, but their soul is gladly accepting this suffering because this is what they came to experience, for they know that it will help their soul grow. Everyone who is a human right now is here to really push themselves to grow their soul, to understand all types of understanding and situations and ways to be. And so it is all not predestined, but an experiment of finding love, finding community in spirit and in 3D. It's a way of coming back to yourself through the hardest test that you've ever had. And many of you love it so much, you've come back again and again. I wish not to speak of karma because karma is truly only law of attraction. Everything that you put into the world come back to you. And karma, the wheels of karmic, uh, the wheels of karma are now closing in this life. As you go towards ascension, you are only incurring immediate karma like the law of attraction, and you have already served your karma of the past. For this is a new time. We are past 2012, way past 2012, where things have changed drastically. And you are already in the most active part of ascension. In this part of ascension, you are being tested for what you believe, what you bring to yourself in trust of a higher power or your guides or your angels or the universe, and how it is working in your favor and helping you and really putting trust there. So you may be experiencing a lot of hardship at this time, but it is just a test and you are doing very well. So reach out to your spirit guides, ask them for a sign, and know that we are applauding you. And do you have any questions?
Well, thank you so much. That was so beautiful. And I love that you talk about the ascension process, where we are and where we're headed. When you say that there are some people who are not here to ascend, they're here to have the 3D experience, do you foresee a time where there will be a type of splitting within society? Or how do you see that happening?
It has already happened. You will see that as you are on the ascension path, you can still see the third dimensional path. In the 3D, it appears as one place, but you will notice that you are only observing the atrocities of the 3D world. It is not affecting you very deeply. Or if it is, then the outcome of that affecting tragedy will be for the highest good and propel you farther on the ascension path. As we separate, it takes some time before the 3D path will fall away and you will not see it anymore. This does not mean you lose your family and friends, for everyone on the 3D path does eventually come back to their higher selves. And as you become an ascended being full of light in your light body, shed your 3D body and become fifth dimensional, you will be in touch with all of your loved ones once again. So it is nothing to fear, but to embrace as you begin this change. And now it has already begun, and you will find much change in the next 24 months.
Wow. That was another thing I was going to ask is how in the next, I was going to say the next 5 years, if things will be rapidly accelerating. This year has felt very different. 2025 has felt very accelerated, very dense, but also a lot of truth being revealed. Is there any sort of theme that you see in the next 24 months or 5 years?
The theme now is exactly as you say, truth being revealed and learning to trust. And
Mm.
this will change everything greatly through February. And past that, you will find even more accelerated change. I speak not of 5 years, for 5 years is beyond. The next 2 years is where you'll see the most change, and you will see your ascension path become so clear. It's not 5 years away, but more closer to 2 years. In 2 years, your life will be so different that you will not be seeking ascension, only experiencing it. And the world will be fifth dimensional by 2030, 2031, perhaps even 2028 or 29, depending on timelines and the work that the Lightworkers put in for themselves and for helping each other. You will see it happen. However, timelines, we cannot effectively say the date, but the next 2 years is where the most change will happen.
Wow, that is fascinating and so promising. I'm curious from your perspective, as you're working with the channel, are you telepathically connecting from that pocket of space, that city in the sky? Are you physically with Rachel but invisible? Tell us about what it's like from where you are.
Where I am now is in a special room for connection, and I sit in contemplation in a special room that connects me, and I come psychically into the body for trance channeling. And at this time, it is a great deal of telepathy. When you ask the question, Rachel must listen and translate, and then I answer. I come in more fully at that time. So when you ask the question, I reach back a little, let Rachel listen, and then we share. And then I
Mm.
come in fully and answer.
Wow. And are you working with other beings here on Earth, other beings in other places, or are you most directly involved with Rachel?
I work with Rachel mostly. I sometimes send a few messages to a few others, but Rachel is my partner guide. Yet, in this vessel with these beings, we have so many different types of beings, not just Blue Avians, many different types of galactic beings here to help thousands. And we are all helping. And we do like a partner guide, one person who can bring us in over and over easily. This helps for a variety of reasons. One is that it's easier for the channel to let us speak. Another is that it is easy for the channel to know when it is not us, but a false entity. And also because we are friends. We have spent another lifetime together, Rachel and I, and we planned this on purpose. And so has the guide that pairs with you. And you may have more than one pairing, but we do like these relationships as they make it easier. And also, people get to know us, and it just helps with the conversation, bringing through the information. As you get used to how I'm bringing through information, you can understand it in a deeper way.
Mm, that's amazing. I have one more question for you. I could ask you a million questions, but I will honor our human time. Um, so, Rachel uses her voice to help to activate and to change the frequency of the planet for the highest good. In your city in the sky, if we say it that way, are there other technologies to do with frequency that you're utilizing to assist the planet at this time?
Yes, we have many, many technologies. However, we are not allowed to use them for the planet at this time. We are waiting until the time that we can. But we do use lots of frequency, light, and sound, and other that is not on your planet. Another way that we use this frequency for healing. For now, though, we can send it through the channel. If you would like, I can bring a healing to all who are listening through this channel.
That would be amazing. I would love that.
I will bring a frequency healing for trusting in yourself and your ability to see, hear, feel, and know beyond your 3D experience. Sarikaya suyuruya maya karasochaya siyamatakia tia. Aila kotuya mayu ya parako suhiareri. Ayana kochari sama tuisia toya layana homani. Ayana resio kotu siana nan sorikasa yotu. Ayo shoshamar kayese yaro kukukuria manalaya siamana kuya rana shoyi. Ayana kosiamana kilati ayana marurista. Ayasrimana kiras na doria samantiti.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I could feel that was like heart sparkles.
Oh,
I
cool.
could feel all this but like little points of light kind of flashing in the front of my heart, and then the same kind of in the back of the solar plexus.
Oh, nice.
Fascinating.
Do you know what's so interesting is he's never told me he's in a room before. And this time, a lot of times he uses his hands, but this time I felt like he was holding like something like a light. I think it was like biophoton or like some sort of light.
This is giving me chills.
Yeah, it was like two rods of light. He was sitting in a chair. He showed me himself in a chair in a dome-like room, and he was holding these rods to connect to me, which is so weird. I've never felt that before.
Wow. And that was that question. When that question came up of like, tell us what I was like, I love this question. And I think maybe it was a question that was given to me because I was just like,
I love it too.
I do want to know this.
Perfect.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Rachel.
And the other thing too was that sometimes when people ask him questions, I'm not there at all and I don't hear any of it. But this time I did feel that. I was like, this is interesting because he would be talking and then you would ask me a question. I felt him. We were sharing my brain and it felt super weird. Like this time, I mean, I've done it a million times, but this time it felt like there was a line in the middle of my head and I was on this side, he was on this side, and I was translating to him. And I think maybe I do that, but I don't know. And he wanted to bring that through today. So he did it that way. I mean, I probably tranced him like 300 times. You know what I mean?
Gosh.
I've never noticed that before. But I do try to think of the question really hard before I bring them in. Because I just don't know what they're going to say. And I just want to make sure they get that question.
Well, it was interesting because he was like, yeah, so she kind of pulls back and translates it. And then we kind of lean in and, and give it, but it's all happening very seamlessly from our perspective.
Usually it is seamlessly from my perspective. This time I felt like my brain was two brains. It felt really weird. And then sometimes I feel like he's trancing me. Like, I feel like I'm in his brain while he's talking. So I think that is sort of what happens. It's like when they come in fully, they're showing me all these visuals. And so a lot of times after I finish trance channeling, I describe what I saw. So they show me all kinds of things. Like it was like an egg-shaped room. I mean, it was really weird.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was so cool, so fun.
Thank you.
And the activation at the end, the technology that came through with your voice was so powerful. And your voice is obviously just heavenly.
Oh, thank you.
Amazing.
Thanks, Kara.
Oh my goodness, this has just been a blast. Thank you so much.
Thank
Rachel, how can people connect with you?
Well, you can find me at soundwavesheal.com. I call myself a shamanic channel and mentor, and I help lightworkers and spiritual seekers just open their gifts and learn how to trance channel or trance heal or any type of channeling. And I do have a YouTube channel. It's at Soundwaves Heal, and I post a lot. So there's a lot of great stuff on there. And on my site, you can get a free channeling spirit guides course. It's at the top of the site, usually a little strip. And I get a lot of good feedback on that course. So it really helps you begin if you'd like.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Be sure you check out her channel because she's got some amazing videos out there and channelings and wisdom. It's really beautiful. Thank you so much for your service, for everything that you're doing to help move humanity along. Thank you for being here on Soul Elevation. It's been such a joy to connect with you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Soul Elevation. If someone in your life would be inspired or uplifted by what you heard today, please take a moment to share it with them. These are the kinds of conversations that ripple out and elevate collective consciousness. And if you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the powerful episodes ahead. Your presence, energy, and support truly help amplify this mission of raising frequency and anchoring in a more awakened humanity. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you for the next episode of Soul Elevation.